좀 놀면서 지냈던 것 같아요. 평소에 워낙 대회들이 많아서 이번에 온라인 대회가 있지만 편하게 하려고 친구들이랑 술도 마시고 좀 맛있는 것도 먹고 하면서.
GSL 시즌2 이후로 오랜만인데 저는 그동안 고양이들이랑 같이 집에서 평범하게 지냈습니다.
팀리그 예선이 있어가지고 팀리그 예선에 좀 집중하면서 연습 다시 열심히 하고 있고요. GSL 시즌3만 좀 기다리면서 있었어요.
시즌2를 건너뛰어가지고 되게 오랜만에 다시 경기장 왔는데 시즌2 때도 꼭 오고 싶었는데 떨어져서 너무 아쉬웠었고 뭐 떨어지고 나서는 좀 시즌3까지 시간이 많이 남아가지고 할 게 많이 없더라고요. 뭐 그동안 뭐 스타2만이 아닌 다른 게임들도 많이 하고 가족들하고도 여행 다녀오고 그러면서 지내고 있었습니다.
원래 제가 저그전이 좀 원래 부족했는데 아직 제가 극복을 못한 것 같고 다음에 우승하려면 좀 더 연습을 열심히 하고 후반 운영 연습도 많이 해야 되고 너무 허무하더라고. 한순간에 황금 차이가 이렇게 갈리는 것 같아가지고
그 시즌2 때부터 오프라인으로 경기가 바뀌었잖아요. 그래서 너무 경기장에서 경기 해보고 싶어서 오랜만에 뚫고 싶어서 정말 열심히 했는데 시즌2에서는 경기 결과가 나오지 않았더라고요. 그래서 방송 키는 것도 조금 막 부끄러울 정도로 좀 상신이 좀 갔었죠. 좀. 네.
시즌1은 마무리가 너무 불만족스러웠어가지고 좀 아쉬운 느낌이 있고 시즌2는 뭐 말할 것도 없이 좀 아쉬운 경기력이었어가지고 시즌3는 좀 다른 마음으로 좀 준비하고 있어요.
1 때는 뭔가 기량이 많이 안 나왔고 2 때는 기량은 나왔지만 노련함이 부족한 그런 느낌이 들었습니다.
성주 좀 떨궈졌으면 좋겠다. 맨날 저랑 만나니까 그때 2번 다 승자한테 져가지고 이번엔 좀 빨리 좀 떨어뜨려줬으면 좋겠네요.
반까마귀부터 시작해가지고 좀 유령이 갖춰지고 나서부터의 테란전을 상대하는 게 너무 힘들었었어요. 막상 대회에서도 테란이 엄청 강한 모습을 보이더라고요. 프로토스도 대회에서 많이 보고 싶다라는 생각을 했는데 그게 쉽지 않더라고요.
저는 딱 테란 올라가라고 대엽이 형이랑 우기도 사실 잘해가지고 준비를 좀 열심히 해야 될 것 같아요.
저도 어려운데 이게 일단 대엽이 형도 이제 폼이 조금 올라오신 것 같고 우기도 지금 굉장히 잘하거든요. 전님도 이기고 올라왔고 예선 때 재선이도 원래 태태전 잘했어가지고 저도 힘들 것 같아요.
조가 무서운 형 2명이 있어가지고 자주 져가지고 원래도 준비 잘하면 올라갈 것 같아요. 그래도.
그날 컨디션에 따라 또 다를 것 같고 잘하는 저그들이나 테란들 이기는 게 힘들다라고 생각이 들어가지고 일단 8강만 올라가도 되게 기적일 것 같아요. 네.
Today's matchup. Cure. Stats. Nightmare. Bunny. Round of 16. Group B. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 3.
And we're back. Cure vs. Bunny coming up next. We're going to go into mirror matchups now and see what it looks like with the new patch in the mirror matchups. You know, I think a lot of times when we have big changes in the game, the conversation is always dominated by which race is going to beat which race. But like as an example, like the Cyclone TBT played a huge role in the early to mid game in that matchup. A lot of different rushes were centered around using those abilities for the Cyclone. What's it going to look like now?
Yeah, the range, it's a lot more reduced than it was in the past. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 16 range or something crazy pre-patch. It was like a siege tank basically when it had max vision. And so now, you know, maybe there are some different harassment options in TET that you can open up with because your opponent doesn't have that Cyclone range to deflect some starport. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
at the same time, the Cyclone, it's for its cost, pretty good at fighting straight up, especially in the early game. So, you know, there's a bit of a yin and yang there in terms of the Cyclone potentially being better offensively in some situations, but worse in some, and certainly worse, I think, overall defensively, but yeah, certainly going to be a shakeup in TBT.
All right, guys, we're going to go into this best of 3 now. The winner goes on to the round of 8, the GSL.
Cure. Mystery Gaming, Bunny.
It's cool to see how well Bunny prepared for this group, man. I mean, that game 1 build, the burrowed, or drilling claws, excuse me, Widow Mine drop into like a hidden third base. We were talking about this on the break, how it all synergizes so well.
Yeah.
It's so smart. You have the armory for the cloaked Widow Mines, which delays the observer coming across the map, and then you go for the third base. Oh, love from the USA. A lot of support for Bunny here in the audience. I mean, it's such a big brain play.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like if SOS played Terran, that's the kind of build he would be doing all of the time, which is a huge compliment. And so I'm really wondering what Bunny has cooked up for us here in TVT, because, you know, certainly coming into this group, I believe Bunny was him who in the interview said, it feels like this group has been, you know, architectured for 2 Terrans to advance, just because Bunny and Cure are both so good at TVP.
Well, yeah, and this I think is less even just about that matchup. They performed so well this year.
Yeah, both of them have top 4s. I think Cure actually with a top 2 and a top 4, both times losing to Maru. So both of them must have predicted that they will be facing each other in the winner's match with a high probability. And so,
and you know, with Maru out of the picture,
yeah,
for each side, this is the Terran to beat, and maybe you don't have to worry about that matchup for a while.
It's a very good point. I mean, besides this, we have what, I think maybe Byun and Gumiho is
the
scariest possible Terrans. Gumiho always been terrifying in TVT. Byun kind of a wild card in terms of that matchup, but absolutely Bunny and Cure kind of each other's nemesis right now, given that Maru is out of the picture.
Okay, so the builds right now very mirrored, although we do have the Reaper actually coming out. It does scout and confirm the command center. Doesn't even try, by the way, to kill the SCV. Stays back, so it's not clear if Cure is aware that that Reaper came by there or not. You know, the factory being swapped on over here for the add-on, and it's going to be 2 Cyclones. So let's see how this looks. Are we going to have aggression right away? And also, how many Cyclones are going to be made? You know, previously it was hard to get too many Cyclones. They kind of had this funny role where they were essential in the early game, and then didn't really add in, you know, wasn't something you could build up and add more of them into your army as easily here.
Yeah, we had some, incredibly niche builds, I think, especially in TVZ, where you would go for effectively a battle mech all-in.
Right.
With Cyclones, and beyond that, we never really saw them massed too much. But, you know, Cure overall has been one of the players, I think, that has been using, at least in Korea, the new Cyclone the most. He played a best of 5 against Serral recently, and although that is a TVZ matchup instead of a TVT matchup, he was absolutely keen on going for a lot of battle mech pressure with Cyclones. It seems like this is a unit that he's very comfortable with,
right,
that he has a lot of faith in the potential of, and with a 4 Cyclone opening like this one, I'm very curious exactly what he's going to be gunning for here against Bunny, because, you know, it is a very new patch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just see, you know, oh, hold on. They're going to be moving out.
Oh, this has to favor Cure, right?
I would think so. All right, here we go. Now, with the 1 Cyclone getting stuck in the front, okay,
yeah,
a bit of a trade here. Now, the punishing part is that you can't run away from the Cyclone. It's just, things are going to get killed. The Marines, they may have to flee up the ramp. Let's see how they fare. Yeah, and you can see that the kiting is real. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, being able to extend to a little bit more range there with the auto lock on, now having no cooldown. So much value.
The only question I have is, why didn't you make 6 of these instead of 4? My God, this is like looking so good. The value. I mean, there's a point where, like, I was going to say now the medevac gets to be the target, and as long as he keeps him alive.
That was maybe 5 or 6 Marines going down. 7, in fact. So almost a full medevac of Marines getting eliminated. 600 resource value difference.
And Cure only lost 2 Cyclones and a Reaper.
Yeah.
And the Reaper is forgettable, right? Those are going to go back. They can be repaired. Did you hear the Terran can repair their units?
I know.
How's that fair? Blizzard.
It's insane.
And I would imagine this is just going to be a setup for another attack later on. We've got tanks now being made over here for Cure. We did see a tank pop out for Bunny as well, but like now we've got 2 tanks. who's to say he couldn't just try to come in here and maybe even push the natural, maybe not even just deny the third, but go further along here.
And if I'm not mistaken, Interference Matrix was already researched by Cure for those 2 Ravens, and Bunny now getting it himself. Building, I believe, the second Raven, although we haven't had a shot of his full army count in a while. Might just be the one. And another command center coming in, and Bunny actually coming in. Is this an empty medevac? What am I looking at here? Is he just scouting? I'm so curious.
Yeah, I think literally. Well, hey, it baited it out.
Oh, yeah,
He's
that's
like, oh,
smart.
no, I'm a medevac, I can't unload my stuff. Not really.
A nice little play there by Bunny. I like that, but still, this push coming in from Cure is really quite scary, and he's also pumping Vikings behind this, so there is sustain should he decide to siege outside of the natural expansion there for Bunny. You know, air superiority seems to be absolutely in Cure's favor should the game decide to go that way. And Cure right now really fixating on this empty medevac, but...
Well, I mean, you know, it's working for Bunny. He's bought an incredible amount of time here for a basically irrelevant empty unit. So think of this less as a medevac lost and just the actual cost of that to delay a full-on engagement from Cure, who is substantially in the lead already.
And that's going to allow Bunny to set up in this position that's much more easily defended outside of the natural expansion, leading into the third base. And actually 3 Ravens in total here for Bunny. So both players with Interference Matrix research will have a lot of disables at their disposal. They got to think that might synergize quite well with the 2 Cyclones that are remaining from the early game. Cure absolutely sizing this up. Here he comes. Disables coming in. Couple of big shots coming in from Bunny siege tanks, though.
Feels like it would have been better to disable the top and the bottom tank instead of the 2 in the middle, but either way, this is going to be a fight that, yeah, I mean, wouldn't you want to disable the tanks that are further away? That you're going to be the last ones to kill, right? I don't know.
Yeah, that was.
I don't want to nitpick too much, but when I looked at that fight, I thought, like, no, this doesn't look right at all.
It did seem a little bit funky, and I really like the big tank shots coming in from Bunny at the start of that engagement. I mean, that was a ton of damage. And Cure perhaps not sizing it up completely correctly, but, you know, in the new patch, trying to make plays with new Cyclones just like this, you know, it is going to be kind of an adjustment period for these players in terms of eyeballing these fights and being able to make the correct judgment call of whether I go in or I do not.
Here we go, another push comes in. And, you know, the thing is, he's still got, Cure still has the majority of his tanks. He can keep reinforcing this. So, like, the problem remains here for Bunny is that he's not able to deal with the firepower that's being exhibited here from Cure. And, yeah, look, one tank gets down here, suddenly you don't have a third base anymore.
SCV's almost taking out the Cyclone.
All right, here we go.
Small SCV pull coming in as Bunny's going to try and get out of this position, but I think Cure might have just actually severed the head.
GG. That was insane.
Yeah, I didn't really give enough credit to the follow-up push there from Cure, because coming into that push, I was really fixated on kind of the weird engagement with the disables on the siege tanks, and I was like,
didn't that seem wrong? Like, you disabled the 2 in the middle. It's like, well, you're not gonna. Those are gonna be the first to die when you come in. Shouldn't you get the ones that are further back?
But I
whatever.
guess Cure was still able to take out enough of the key units there for Bunny that, with the reinforcements coming in, you know, as long as you're able to separate the natural expansion from the third base in that way, and then with the Ravens come through with one more disable and just really kill the last remaining high-value siege tank for Bunny, Cure is able to come through with a decapitating blow and to really just deliver another 1-2 punch. The same way that we saw him do against Stats in the first series, he's now doing it here in TBT against Bunny.
All right, we're gonna go to Oceanborn. Let's see if Bunny can play a better game. Cure with a strong opening, a deep understanding of how to just leverage the Cyclones early on, and a very straight up push right after that. Good luck, Bunny.
Cure. Mystery Gaming, Bunny.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I see that push come out in that last game with the Cyclones, I'm thinking, okay, why would you not do that build now?
It's really good.
But then I don't know what it's going to look like if they're both doing the same thing here. But yeah, I mean, the Cyclone clearly able to just kind of, instead of being this handy unit that's sort of a fix-all for like harass and maybe it could snipe something here or there, it's just got the ability to push and the ability to kite. I remember the very first time I used a Cyclone at BlizzCon, like, you know, forever ago, getting to play the game before the game was out. And that was my initial takeaway, was like, damn, this thing can move and shoot so much better than anything else in the game. And it's still true.
Winners
Winners
TVT.
TVT.
Oh, Zambigram. What's up?
Zambigram.
Hashtag Terran Patch.
But yeah, I mean, you saw in that fight back there, he basically was able to kill off enough Marines that the push was just easy to do from there. You know, he just killed off enough of the infantry that there was nothing to work with.
Yeah, the way that the builds lined up just went heavily in favor of Cure. Oh my goodness, we flew all the way to Korea for the Cure. I love this. Look at Dr. Cure right there. Wait, that was Cure versus Bunny. This is the winner's match. It's not like the opening match of the series. Are these fans coming in with like cheerfuls prepared for all the different possible
ones, yeah.
circumstances?
You've got to, how many possible types of GSLs can we have that you've got to have a cheerful for each one?
Oh, that's so cool. Cheerful game this season for the fans has been top tier.
Great. Well, I'm so glad, you know, we started this year off in kind of a crappy situation where we didn't have live audience for GSL, but once the fans spoke out and Afrika brought it back to the studio, man, it's been so good to see people down here enjoying the games and making these fun signs and everything. So yeah, I mean, I'm very happy to see it. Now, in this game, look, we have a Hellion being made now here for Kira. I've been wondering if he's just going to do the same thing as he did in the game before. Sometimes when there's a new patch, you could just be running a build that's just better, and any tournament player might not be able to, you know, intuit how to deal with that.
Oh, 2 Reapers coming into the main base right now. Only 1 Marine and 1 Reaper. We'll see if Cure can get the key picks.
Damn.
Nice value. Cure is so good with his control.
Yeah, there really is an art form to using those grenades to push things away, but then sometimes to also push things towards you.
Oh, he's so... Oh, he body blocked the SCV!
My God, that was sick.
Put that in a highlight reel.
That was insane.
He loses nothing. He body blocks the SCV trying to get into the bunker.
It was like a Dota game, but sped up to an insane amount, but he did get the body block off, yeah.
And you know what the best part about that, too, is he recognized he could make that play because he sent the Reapers into the main base, and he killed the Marine that was in the bunker.
Cure is looking so scary here.
He always does. This has really been his season to kind of come online. I mean, just top 4 after top 4, only really thwarted by Maru, who won both Code S's to kick off the year. And now that Maru's out of the picture, you got to really wonder, I mean, looking at the form that Cure is in, how far he can go. Is he going to be a GSL champion before the end of this year? I mean, he very well might. With the way that he's playing, the builds that he's showcasing, and just, you know, the instinct on the moves. I feel like Cure, more than pretty much every other Terran, is so good at just recognizing situations where he can go for killing blows in a variety of different matchups. We saw it against Stats in the very first series, and then we saw it there against Bunny in a situation that, frankly, I was skeptical that he was actually going to be able to sever the head and just kill Bunny outright there between the natural and the third base with that first engagement. But Cure obviously has a very deep insight into the way these matchups work, despite there being a new patch on these units getting shifted around a little bit in terms of power. He just could recognize the situation and almost see through the matrix and be like, okay, I take this first step. I'm setting up for a push later in the game or a setup later in the game that is just going to win the game outright. And that's the way it went against Stats. It's the way it went against Bunny. Yeah, in game number 1, he just seems to navigate aggressively so well with his unit movements. It's just beautiful to see.
And yeah, Cure is really bringing such an impressive display of power here. And with Maru already out of the tournament, you got to wonder, like, okay, is there anybody that's going to be able to stop him? So we did have this turret thrown down here. And look at this. He gets the kill over there. Is he just going to do a push?
It's looking very similar.
Yeah. And I mean, I got to wonder, this probably was coming no matter what, but when you see the turret come down, you're like, well, that's less energy on that Raven now. I hope you're happy you killed my SCV. anyways, I'm going to come in here and disable all your tanks and overpower you now.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
The Raven is going to get back in time to try and help with this push, but as you said, considerably less energy. And Cure coming in like this with 3 Ravens, all very high on energy. Interference Matrix already researched and kind of mirrored builds. The issue here for Bunny isn't necessarily that he's going to be killed, but he knows he has to forfeit this position, and he cancels the 3rd command center on the high ground. Cure back at home, building his 3rd CC on the low ground at the expansion.
Yeah, so basically that expansion was stopped before it could ever even start. And, you know, with the amount of Raven energy over here, I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult to ever get in here. Now these Reapers come in. You don't normally see past, you know, what, like 6 minutes like this game, Reapers ever getting value, but here we are, 3 kills already.
I just love the way that Cure is playing right now.
So he killed the SCV that was making the command center. So, I mean, Cure, if this position keeps up, he's going to be eons ahead.
He's still pumping out Vikings 2 at a time as... Oh, that one's actually in range. Bunker has to get salvaged there for Buddy. And every moment that Cure just parks his army here, unless he gets completely disabled and Bunny is able to overrun him and take a massively favorable trade. And this is just basically money in the bank. And, you know, Cure, actually, I think he's recognizing,
Dude,
you know what,
so
the
good.
time is done. This is enough value. I'm not going to overstay my welcome. I'm going to go home right now and try and defend.
This is actually so impressive.
It's so smart.
Because as we saw the Viking count get higher and higher, it's like, oh, you're probably not going to be able to, you're going to lose all that stuff. But he knew the exact second to get out. This is an escape, by the way, with no medevacs.
Yeah, and this is a little bit scary, though, for Cure, because Buddy might have a little bit of tit for tat coming in. Notice the paths of these armies. Is Cure going to be able to take a 4 in a position? Disables might come through. Actually, an armor shredding missile on all the siege tanks, and some big volleys come out of Cure. That was looking precarious to start, but the initial damage was huge. That big group of bio that Bunny had assembled just got vaporized by the siege tanks, losing every single Marine.
He could actually land the Vikings on that if he's fast enough.
He doesn't need to. He has the vision right now with the siege tanks. Bunny, it looked like he might have been able to mount a pretty powerful counterattack, but Cure just absolutely stopped it in its tracks.
Cure is playing just so perfectly. It's kind of crazy. Okay, well, look, he does get a lot of kills on SCVs, but the SCV count is still way ahead. By the way, look at the mini-map. That command center is not landed. He did not lift it off during that push. Bunny was so preoccupied. There's no way that that just now finished building. That had been started a long time ago. Now there's a counterattack coming in here.
Air superiority going in the favor of Cure. He's also the only player where the Raven's still around. And keep in mind that the Marine count was completely reset in that last attack between Cure and Bunny, so Bunny is really going to be trying to struggle to hold on against this follow-up push by Cure. And look at him just navigating this perfectly. He scans, he sees the positions of the siege tanks, just maneuvering around the map, trying to find some sort of opening, because if Cure is able to basically siege up in a position where he can force Bunny to basically take a bad fight, it's going to be game over. The army supply already keenly in favor of Cure, and with 7 Vikings in total on the map, so I think maybe like 3 for Bunny, there is some significant potential for Cure to just push across the map and get something done. And look at this scouting Marine.
That was crazy.
I mean, the game
Did he
sense,
actually see it?
He did. He stimmed the Marine. He's checking which way it went, and he confirms that the medevacs, at least for now, are moving back. Cure just has such an unbelievably good read on this game.
Okay, there's another drop that's going to come in. So he saw that earlier, but he wasn't able to identify, okay, did it turn around or not? Most of the army here for Cure is in the middle of the map. Army supplies are even, by the way. The supply lead for Cure is in workers.
Armory very late for Bunny as well, so upgrade differential going to be a pretty significant window for Cure should he decide to try and hit a 2-2 timing. And Bunny, I think right now, you know, you have stabilized a little bit. The fact that you're both macroing up on 3 bases for a considerable amount of time means that the margin of advantage Cure had built up earlier, although it remains, it's a significantly smaller portion of the game overall than it once was. So Bunny, maybe if he's able to find some damage with these drops, can get some counter damage in and equalize. It certainly seems to be the play that he's gunning for, with these medevac groups kind of moving across the map. But Cure with his standing army right now, it's still just in a very good position. The Eagle Weapons completing now, 2-2 almost done as well. And Bunny really hasn't been able to find any holes in the armor of Cure.
Yeah, the one good thing Bunny has is that he's kept control of this little high ground plateau. A little bit of a counterattack coming in here. And clearly there's just enough. He scans and sees, 3 tanks in total with some Marines to boot. So, he's not able to get much done there.
Yeah, Cure having that sensor tower just basically guarantees that if a drop comes into the third base like that, he will be able to rally the reinforcements to defend. But
in the main as well, there's a tank and there's some Marines here too. So I think he might be able to handle this as well. Now both armies are going by each other. Taking a look at this drop in here. Calmly, Cure just sieges up another tank.
He sees a drop.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is going to be a base trade. He's going to go ahead and try to repair this planetary and just let it get off as much damage as it can before it inevitably falls. Meanwhile, the third base has already been dislodged. The drop, nothing's happening. In the main, it's not happening yet either. Bunny's going to try to come forward. I just don't know that there is anything that Bunny could do. There it is, GG.
Wow.
Cure is bulletproof.
Bunny tries to go for the base trade, but the defensive setup for Cure back at home is impenetrable. He handles the drop in the main, in the third base. He handles even the army trying to push up the natural expansion. I feel like I didn't watch a StarCraft game. I feel like I just watched Magnus Carlsen in chess.
Yeah,
just absolutely dismantle someone.
It was so impressive.
And it was so technical. It really felt like chess moves, all the way from the initial push with the siege tanks to cancel the third base on the high ground, regain control of that position, delay the expansion, and then at the perfect moment, retreat when he knows that Bunny has finally mustered enough to unseat him from that position. Just a beautiful day from Cure in TVT and in TVP. It almost felt flawless.
Right, over to the interview. Congratulations, Cure. He says thank you. That was incredible. Seems like you played perfectly today. Your Cyclone play was on point. Your decision making was incredible.
일단 시즌 1, 2 성주한테 져가지고
How do you feel?
이번에 성주 지는 거 보고
So season 1 and 2, I lost to Maru. After I saw he was eliminated, I feel like this is my chance to actually win the GSL. Since I knew Maru's not here anymore, I felt much more confident. Both Gasato and JYP could not stop singing praises to you for how well you were playing. It looked like you were playing very comfortably, as if you were just playing it from home. So I don't know if I've ever been this relaxed or this comfortable playing in an offline matchup. But after that big event in Riyadh at Gamers 8, I think there was a turning point for me. I think my confidence level has risen. Seems like you've got a goal to become a champion for the season. Yes, since Maru's not here. Oh, sorry, are there any players you're watching out for now that Maru's gone? So far, Hero's played very well. He's very smart. He has a tricky way to he approaches the game, so I'm definitely watching out for him. Any shout-outs to the fans?
경기력이 그렇게 완벽하진 않은 것 같은데 다음 경기 때는 더 적응 잘해서 더 좋은.
Although I played well today, I'm not 100% satisfied. I still play a little bit better from home, so I'm going to focus more and try to clean up my play even further, and hopefully I can reach perfection.
That was one of the most perfect. I thought the interview was over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. The builds you use against stats, they were quite unusual. Is that a one-off, or is this going to be a pattern we're going to see emerge here from your play in the matchup? I'm using Ravens pretty often against Protoss, but it didn't work that well. But I think the way that Stats approaches the game, maybe this is a viable strategy, and it didn't pan out. All right, thank you. Whoa, they closed that graphic out fast.
Yeah, my goodness.
I'm actually like laying back. I've got
My tie's,
cucumbers
like,
on
over
my
here.
eyes. I didn't know we were going to come back onto me.
I was just gonna
that
say,
fast.
like he played as close to perfect as you possibly could,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he's just like, well, it wasn't my 100%. I
wouldn't-
can do better.
It would not be a pro gamer interview if they didn't say, I'm still disappointed in my performance today, and I will try to play better next time.
I mean, that was so good.
It was like insane how well he played. It was so good.
It's like the one thing that went wrong was the proxy barracks at the start against Stats, and he still won that game. And
Yeah.
then he basically just played flawlessly from then on out. That was insane. That was some of the best play I've ever seen from Cure, and he's already like a perennial top 4.
Quick break, guys. We'll be right back.
Anytime, any place, anybody, it don't matter. Anywhere, any day. Anytime, any place, anytime.